Ladies and gentlemen, celebrating 5 years as a podcaster, introducing Nate the Great!
Notorious, so notorious, so notorious. They call me notorious for living it up and not giving a like a lion in a land of sheep. Feel my teeth as they sink in deep. They say I'm a rebel soul, bad to the bone, always ready to go.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, this is NateFNGreat, and welcome to this edition of the Game Changer podcast. And it's another time to talk about wrestling. After a week of hiatus, I'm definitely back, and I'm ready to talk about wrestling. More specifically, the independent side of wrestling, because there's a lot to be said about the independent scene, whether it's in a state or in a certain area. There's just a lot to go off of right now, and the best way to kind of talk about that is to talk about my experience with ACW on the 7th anniversary show that took place now 2 weeks ago, which is crazy, because 2 weeks ago did the announcing for that, and almost about 2 weeks from now we'll be into the new year of 2021, and hopefully things will be better before they have gotten even more worse than what they've been. I'm looking forward to 2021 because I think it's going to be one of those things where 2020, not one of the best years. In all honesty, I thought it was going to be better celebrating the 5-year anniversary of podcasting, but I'm also looking towards the future. I'm looking towards a lot of things that are going to be coming, especially a lot of the great things that will be happening. So definitely looking forward to that. Now, getting back to ACW 7th anniversary show, it was a blast to call this show. It was a blast to get the chance to see so many great people there. It was just a blast to see everybody just have fun. They just absolutely enjoyed it. And one of the crazy things was that they were trying to get a bit of a lineup of famous stars to come into ACW, but still, the fact that they sold out the Masonic Center shows you that ACW has a huge fan base, that it doesn't matter how much star power that they have, they are just absolutely loved in the area. People are definitely enjoying the fact that ACW is there, that they're providing them with the best quality wrestling. And you can't get better quality wrestling when it comes down to it when you talk about some of the matches that are on there. I mean, the first matchup that was on there was a huge scramble matchup for the All-Star Trophy, which is basically their version of Money in the Bank. Have such great talented stars like Peter Schwanz, like Drake Daniels, like XTC, a guy who I have been praising for so long, your boy Roy, and so many other people in there. And getting the chance to see all these guys just go out there and take names, kick ass, and just kill it that night. But in the end, Drake Daniels would become victorious and be the All-Star Trophy winner, which was honestly a bit of a shock to me, because Drake Daniels was just an last-minute entry, because originally he was supposed to fight Ethan Page, but unfortunately he was in contact with somebody who had COVID-19. So it is one of those situations where it was unfortunate, but they did find a way to make that moment into something that was a major positive, and that was great. The next matchup they had was the 8-person tag team war, which in all honesty, when I saw this war match, I thought it was going to be like a no disqualification kind of deal, but in the end it was an 8-man tag match, which was still really good. We had Shane Hill, Steve Sawyer, Swoggle, Backwoods Brown taking on the team of Stacey Shadows, Nick Colucci, Wild and Randy. Now, let me repeat that, Wild and Randy, which means Willie is back, ladies and gentlemen, in ACW. What an absolutely phenomenal and just great moment to see Willie back in the ring. It was a crazy war that all 8 of these individuals went into. It was just absolutely great. I loved it. Team Swoggle picked up the victory in a bit of a shocking turn of events, but At the same time, it does still continue to progress the story between Colucci and Swoggle. And once we get to that Colucci and Swoggle matchup, I am looking forward to that. It's just going to be absolutely amazing to just see that. Then we had honestly, one of the big matches, the big main events of the show, which was Joey the Jet Avalon versus Brian Myers. Now, they faced off against each other at a previous anniversary show, and they killed it. This matchup was no different. These two guys have an absolutely amazing chemistry between the two of them. They have an absolutely fantastic storytelling in the ring, where basically Brian Myers, he's the guy who's basically done it all in the world of professional wrestling. He's gone overseas. He's battled in a lot of the big companies, where Joey Avalon, it seems like he's in the same area that he was when he battled Brian Myers the first time. So this was one of those matches where it's built off of the fact that, Joey Avalon, does he still have it in him all these years? Does Joey Avalon have what it takes to make it to the big leagues? In all honesty, he does. He is one of those guys who, I'm going to go on a side tangent right here. Joey Avalon is a guy that I've seen in more companies and in more promotions than I could ever imagine. And the fact is, he is one of the best wrestlers in the state, in all honesty. And I would go so far as to say he's one of the best unsigned guys in wrestling ever. He's a guy who has the look, he has the moveset, he has the charisma, he has everything that you would want in a wrestler. Does he have the physique like, a Vince McMahon would want to have? No, he definitely does not. He doesn't need it. He makes up for it with everything that he does. His matches are absolutely fantastic. His matches, whether it was with Colin Brooks, Sadist, Adam Grace, anybody that he fought in the ring with, he is always going to have just an absolute stellar matchup. The fact of the matter is, he is like, he to wrestling matches are like Tim Curry to movies. When you know Tim Curry's in a movie, he's at least going to give it an extra star just for being in it. With Joey Avalon, you're going to just see the extra mile that he puts in, the extra effort that he puts in. He's just that damn good. And this was another matchup, like I said, that really proved that. Brian Myers picked up the victory here, but he did say that he was looking to have a rematch with Joey Avalon in the future. Maybe it's going to be at Water City Wrestling Con coming up in April. I wouldn't mind that. In all honesty, if they make it an Iron Man matchup, I would really love to see that, just to see them just tear it down. As soon as this match was over, and as soon as Brian Myers suggested that third and final chapter between the two of them, out comes this band of random guys, we'll say, and they had black masks on, they had black shirts. They're just these like mask covered deals that some people call them like retribution, but I think there was probably retribution in the best way. But I will also say that they kind of remind me of just gang members from the movie The Purge, and maybe it was because of the music that they had that reminded me of that movie. But they came down, they beat down on Brian Myers, they beat down Joey Avalon. It was honestly one of those things where it was like, wow, this is really different and not something we would be expecting. And I'm interested in seeing where the story goes from here, because maybe they're going to have Brian Myers and Joey Avalon taking on these guys. Maybe they're going to just have them be this new faction where it's just going to be a mystery all throughout the way. Who knows at this point? It's just one of those things where I honestly don't know who they are, and I'm very curious to see what becomes of them. So definitely looking forward to seeing what happens come 2021 with ACW. We had an intermission where they announced one of the great people that are going to be a part of Water City Wrestling Con. He is a former Intercontinental Champion. He's a former United States Champion. He is a former Tag Team Champion. He is, in all honesty, one of those guys that I was not expecting to come, but I'm very much looking forward to seeing him at Wrestling Con. For those of you that have not been keeping up on my hashtag, The Great Holiday Cameos, you definitely are missing on who I mentioned. But if you have, you know exactly who I'm talking about. It's this man.
Woo, woo, woo. You know it.
Oh, radio, tell me everything you know. I like to sing with the radio. I like to play it real loud.
Woo, woo, woo. You know it.
Oh, radio, tell me everything you know. I will believe your every word, just tell me so.
Yeah, I played his theme music twice. Whatever. It's my show. Whatever. It is indeed Matt Cardona, formerly known as Zack Ryder. And honestly, guys, this is going to be just... I'm looking forward to this. This was a guy who, like I said, he got me involved in Twitter. He was the first guy that I followed on Twitter. And now it's going to be a full circle moment come April. I'm looking forward to seeing him. Matt Cardona, looking forward to seeing you, man. It's going to be absolutely fun. It's going to be absolutely amazing. So the next matchup that they had was The Curse taking on the Players Club for the ACW Tag Team Championships. And this matchup was definitely very brutal. It was very hefty. It was just so uncomfortable at times. But maybe it was more towards the end of the matchup because of everything that just went down between these two teams. Because the story here is literally the Curse has just been beaten down the club like no tomorrow. And the thing is that this is their second tag team title opportunity, and they lost by DQ, which just surprised me because I thought that this was going to be the moment where they just win the titles and maybe they'll get the big rematch between them and the Players Club in the future. But no, they lost by a disqualification, which, in all honesty, just shocked the hell out of me. And they literally had Serena, who was the Curse's manager, just beat down Cash as well as Big Cat. I actually said to Serena after the match, I said, you are literally one of the few times where I just said, please, Big Cat, just one punch, because she literally beats down on Cash and then hits a code breaker on Big Cat. I was just like, oh, damn, this girl is just ready to fight, but I want to see her get her comeuppance, and maybe that will happen come January. I know that they're having I think it's like a, oh my gosh, what is it? Like a pick on a pole match, I believe it was, or a point. Oh gosh, what is it? Stake a pole? I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was just like a spike on a pole. There we go. I couldn't find the word. And as for the tag team titles, this is going to be a very interesting matchup. I'm looking forward to seeing that in January because J Cash, Big Cat, they just were decimated after the matchup. Battered, bloody, bruised, that was just rough to watch. Another matchup that took place was the Water City Championship matchup. Salem Crane taking on Cody Jacobs, everybody's favorite political deal in professional wrestling. Another really good matchup between these guys, told a really good story. Salem Crane picked up the victory. And I'm looking forward to this because come January, I'm actually going to be having an interview with one Salem Crane. So definitely tune into that, guys. I'm bringing back the Superstar Spotlight that I started doing last year, but unfortunately it kind of got derailed with everything that went on with COVID-19. So it's going to be happening again. I'm bringing it back. Looking forward to talking to a lot of people. Looking forward to talking to just all these great wrestlers that everybody should know, especially in the Wisconsin area. Then we had the main event, which was the tables match between Logan Lynch and Adam Grace. This was a great moment. This was a great matchup that told a story of Adam Grace just going through hell and back again just to get this title opportunity and to get the title shot. And he had a shot against Logan Lynch a few months ago, which unfortunately he won, but by disqualification. This time around, there was going to be no excuses because it was a tables match. And those tables, those are not, they're of course not going to be easy to break, but this matchup definitely lived up to the standards. It lived up to every single expectation. In the end, we stood and applauded for the new, I repeat, the new ACW heavyweight champion, Adam Grace. What a matchup. He beat the clock. He survived the Rumble. He reigned triumphant. It was honestly one of those moments where I thought, hey, if we can make this into a damn shirt, that would be great. I think Adam Grace definitely deserved it. This was one of those things where I looked at this and I thought, he damn well deserved this title run. He earned it. He is one of those guys I am looking forward to seeing hold the title for quite a while. Logan Lynch definitely had a great reign of 426 days, I believe it was. And he killed it. He did an absolutely great job with that. So, with that being said, all in all, ACW's 7th anniversary show was phenomenal. It was great. It was something that really definitely put our mind at ease, but it also was just another wonderful, entertaining night. I'm going to talk a little bit more about how wrestling, especially in the independent scene, has been something that really continues to set our minds at ease and keeps us entertained after this quick commercial break. So stay tuned, guys. I will be right back.
This is the Princess of Pro Wrestling, SoCal Val, inviting you to watch Grown Ass Women TV every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on YouTube. GAW TV is the ultimate slumber party with me, Lisa Marie Varon, and Mickey James. Plus, special guests like Mick Foley, WWE's Paige, and more. We're live in the YouTube chat room every Wednesday for each episode premiere. So join us, and don't forget to bring a cocktail. Visit GawTV.com for more info. That's GAWTV.com. We'll see you there.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Coda Jacobs, the crusader and visionary behind a brighter future in wrestling. If you're an honorable and noble public servant like myself, you are listening to the Game Changer Podcast.
The doctor will see you now.
And I am back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Game Changer Podcast. I am your host, the Paladin of Positivity, NateFNGreat. Independent wrestling has definitely been something that has really distracted me from a lot of the quote-unquote politics, but also everything that has gone wrong in the world of, say, WWE, and there can be other wrestling organizations that unfortunately fall under that same category where they're either doing something wrong or that they are just not getting it. But regardless of how I feel about other big-time wrestling promotions, independent wrestling has definitely been something that has not only given people the chance to live their dreams to be a wrestler, but it's also given people the chance to enjoy wrestling when they can't go on that kind of budget. I will say that one of the first wrestling shows that I watched, and it was an independent show, was back when I was 15 at the time, and it was just a bunch of people who were battling against, I think, in like a gymnasium where I think they barely drew a crowd of maybe 10 or 20 people, but you didn't care about the amount of people. You didn't care about that. You more cared about the wrestling itself and the storytelling that a lot of the people in the ring provided, and they did an absolutely great job of that. As time went on, I definitely got the chance to enjoy a bit more of the professional wrestling scene, but it wasn't until a few years ago when I met up with friends that I met through Spencer, who I worked with the Squirt Circle podcast. Met up with two guys named Chris Lockman and AJ Jensen, who had done a lot of stuff with an independent show known as It was Wisconsin Pro Wrestling, WPW. And some of the people there that I definitely got the chance to really see were Adam Grace, Joey Avalon, Colin Brooks, Sadist, and so many other great people in that it really definitely helped me to just kind of look at wrestling in a different limelight, because these are guys who either are just, in my opinion, too good for the big leagues, or they're just not being seen by the right people. These are tremendous athletes and tremendous wrestlers who just do an absolutely great job of telling some of the great stories in the ring. And my interest in independent wrestling definitely peaked when I started working and started being introduced to ACW, All Class Wrestling. And the first big time show that I saw with them, actually my first show with ACW, was the first ever Water City Wrestling Con. In that show, they had a long line of people at that show, and they had some special guests at that show. And oh my gosh, the people that they had for that were Bret the Hitman Hart, Vicky Guerrero, Carlito, Kevin Thorne, Ken Anderson. Oh gosh, I thought there was and El Torito, who you might remember from Los Matadores. Just getting the chance to see that and getting the chance to interact with some people that you never thought you would get the chance to meet, it was absolutely great. I still hold true the first time I got to meet Ken Anderson as one of my favorite times of being a wrestling fan, because I loved Ken Anderson when he was Mr. Kennedy in WWE, liked his stuff in TNA, and I honestly thought, well, he's probably just going to be one of those guys that he's probably there just to, mingle with the fans and earn his paycheck. But what I remember most from my meeting with him was that he actually kind of roped me back in and, talked to me like, hey, where are you from? And blah, 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 just all that kind of great stuff. And anytime I get the chance to meet him, it's always fun. He's a great guy. He's absolutely just fun to work with. And this was a guy who I didn't realize was a big impact in the world of the Wisconsin, independent scenes. He just absolutely killed it. He's just an absolutely amazing athlete. He's very gifted. He's absolutely great. It's funny because after I saw him at Water City Wrestling Con that year, I got the chance to see him 2 more times in that same year. Second time, it was my first time dressing up as a wrestler. I was dressed up as Chris Jericho, and I just remember him giving me the look of like, what the hell are you wearing? Because I had one of those poofy scarves instead of like the regular scarves that Chris Jericho had, and it's just absolutely great. There was an interaction where he just yelled at me. He's like, I don't care what you have, Chris Jericho. I don't care if you have the Raw ratings at your fingertips. And then his opponent, Sadist, was just like, that's not Jericho. That's Nathan. And Anderson's like, Nathan? That's like the worst name to have in the English dictionary. That or Keith. It was great. I absolutely loved that. He is a delight to work with. But then I got the chance to talk to a lot of other people through the independent scene. And, guys like Ben McCoy, Salem Crane, one of my favorite wrestlers that has now become a really good friend of mine has been Randy Fitzsimmons. He is one of those guys who really did introduce me, as well as really, he opened his arms as an absolutely amazing wrestler and entertainer to the world of wrestling. He was one of those few guys that I remember just saying like, oh dude, always great seeing you at shows, always great, that you're coming out, you're showing your support. It's just absolutely great. Love the fact that you get to see you every single time. And those are the things I really do enjoy about the independent scenes, is that a lot of the wrestlers, when they have that one-on-one time with you, they definitely show their appreciation, where unfortunately I'm sure a lot of people in the big leagues would like to do the same, but they only have so much time to do it. And that's why I try and do some of these grand gestures of, going above and beyond. Some of the people might know that I've done things like, this great holiday cameo, which I've gotten that chance to wish a lot of people a happy holidays and be able to just say to them, they do an absolutely great job and just show my appreciation for them. There's also, big gestures that I will do. A lot of people might remember last year at Starcade, Starcast, I'm sorry. I basically took 10 flowers and I gave them to 10 women that I had the chance to talk to as well as meet, and every single one of them, they were just absolutely floored as well as flabbergasted at the fact that they got that. Some of them I have had some pretty good contact with, and there's some where it's just like, hey, it's a one and done. Maybe it's a one and done kind of deal. Maybe it's just that. Every single person that I did that before, though, was just absolutely great. One story I love was the story where I gave one flower to Penelope Ford at Starcast, and apparently she was not in the best of moods, and when she got that flower from me, she was apparently in high spirits. She just felt like she got a little bit of adrenaline, and the reason why I know this is because my friend Dusty Dave, shout out to him, my fellow belt bro, he actually talked to Kip Sabian, who is, romantically linked with Penelope Ford in real life. So he actually tells me this story, and I'm just like, wow, it is amazing what you can do just in that one singular moment, and how much of a difference you can make in somebody's day by just doing something as small as that. Now, I also will say that I did break a lot of hearts that day, because there are a lot of guys that were just like, hey, where's our flower? I'm just like, it just was one of those things where it's like, oh boy, I didn't realize that was going to be this big a hit. But getting the chance to talk to a lot of the independent wrestlers has always been really great. And I can definitely say that I've gotten a lot of positive feedback as well as positive acceptance from a lot of the wrestlers. I will say that I do remember one time, it was during a WPW show. I think I got a frog in my throat. Jeez Louise. In which I was kind of backstage, and I guess I was kind of like a meandering deal. I guess one person in the back said, like, well, who's this dude that's, roaming backstage and blah, blah, blah. Apparently, the person did not like the fact that I was back there. I don't know who it was. I was just only told that that was just said by somebody, but I was going to be doing a podcast interview with somebody, but then I also had a punishment to be dealt with, and that was a plate of chops. It was originally supposed to be done by Sadist, which I am so thankful that I never got that chance. I think I'll have to put it on my bucket list, though, to at least get one chop from Sadist, but we'll see. That depends on if I want to live or die. But I still have the video of so many people that gave me the chops. Guys like Garrison Creed, Peter Schwanz. One of my favorite people that did it was TW3, because as soon as I was about to get chopped by him, he's just like, hey, what's up, people on YouTube? This guy's going to die. Just absolutely great. I think this was also the time where this was Ben McCoy's son, or if it was somebody else. But one kid actually gave me a really good chop, and it was one where I think it might have been one of the worst chops I felt, which, shockingly enough, chops are not supposed to feel good. But yeah, getting all those chops from all those people is just absolutely insane. I may just have to do one chop from one wrestler at any show that I go to, just because I think it's just something that could be, I don't know if I would say like a sign of, I don't know how I have it. Maybe I'm just going crazy. But independent wrestling has definitely been one of those things that has created future stars. I mean, you have to remember that every single wrestler has either had some kind of involvement with independent wrestling, or they came from independent wrestling. Guys like Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, all of these big names that you know today started out on the independent scene. They slowly built their way up to where they are right now. So without the independent scene, how would we have these big stars? How would we have these great creative moments? Independent wrestling has definitely been something that I have appreciated more and more every single time that I've seen it, every single time that I've experienced it. It's always something that's just great. It's absolutely fun. It's absolutely wonderful to see. And it's because of independent wrestling that I got the chance to meet so many great people. One person in particular that I've always had the absolute honor and privilege of meeting was, and still is, Melina. Melina has been one of those people that I've just absolutely adored seeing and absolutely adored talking to. I had the opportunity to actually to work with her earlier this year. A lot of people might remember the podcast interview that she and I did. It was one that is still one of my favorites. She is an absolute sweetheart, and I always love talking to her because she's somebody who I kind of can relate to, but also somebody who definitely opened my eyes to what professional wrestlers can be in real life. Because you remember so many things on TV of this character, but then you see the person behind the scenes and it's like, wow, they're absolutely just wonderful. So getting the chance to just work with people like Melina, getting the chance to work with people like SoCal Val, who I will say didn't meet through an independent show, but love the fact that we get the chance to talk to each other and just absolutely have a tremendous time together. So independent wrestling, it's fun. It's always something that takes your mind off of reality. So I definitely recommend so many people to just watch it when you can. Even if it's a small show, it takes your mind off things because you get the chance to talk to so many of these people. And to be honest, there's some people that you think you might meet in the big leagues and you might never do so. So definitely appreciate the wrestlers that you get the chance to meet. Definitely appreciate the performances that they put on because they could more than likely be the superstars of tomorrow. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the future holds for so many people because I look at a lot of people and I can definitely say that there's so many people I would love to see show up in Impact Wrestling or in AEW or in Ring of Honor. Just so many things. And I think that they have just been overlooked for so long. And I'm hoping that as time goes on, they get those bigger opportunities because they deserve it and they are definitely on that right path. So independent wrestling rules. Thank you guys so much for listening into the show. And I will talk to you guys next week. It's going to be a very special episode because I will have not one, but two special guests on it, and they are both from the place of Canada, that being Slack as well as Danny Nolan. So definitely tune into that and see what we have in mind. Thank you guys so much. Stay safe out there. Stay strong. Be positive. Feel free to follow me on Twitter at RealFNGame. Be sure to check out the Game Changer podcast where I definitely do a lot of fun stuff like, well, That Was Random, which is a show where I just talk about random stuff and really no concept other than that. So guys, thank you so much and definitely tune into 2021 because the Game Changer podcast is going to continue to grow immensely. Thank you guys so much. Have a good one.